It was another busy weekend for the Sun Devils in the transfer portal and recruiting, but don't worry, I'm here to get you up to date.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thanks as always for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. Wherever you're getting your podcast, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. You, of course, can stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter. You can find me at RichieBrads36 in the podcast as well at LO_Sun Devils. And, of course, a special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon and use the code LOCKEDON for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, y'all. It was a crazy busy weekend for Sun Devils football. Lots of transfers. Got some news over the weekend / today for commitment updates, and then a couple of rumors, plus a transfer announced from Arizona State Sun Devils football that we're going to get you all caught up on. Don't worry, I'm here for you. Number one source. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. No need to fancy this any longer than it needs to. It was a busy weekend for transfers. Arizona State ends up bringing in 6 different players, 5 from Division I schools, as well as 1 from NAU. We'll go ahead and hop right into the biggest one, of course, which was running back Raleek Brown. I say running back, that's what he came out as. He's also a wide receiver. He's also a special teams player. He is a weapon. He is an athlete. He is an offensive weapon, like I said. Former 5-star, depending on where you look. Consensus, really high 4-star, though. Kid's a beast. He is instantly going to be one of the best players on this offense. I would tell you the only players that I think right now are better than him are probably Cam Scadaboo and Elijah Badger. Other than that, you got a lot of potential. I love O'Mary. I still think Guillory's got some juice in him. Stovall, very underrated for the team. I like Caleb. Oh my God, who's our running back? Kyson Brown. I really like Kyson Brown. You've got guys here. Like, there's plenty of guys to run through. But when you look at Raleek Brown, it's really difficult to sit there and imagine somebody that is better than him. Like, it's not a discredit to Raleek Brown whatsoever. He's just that good of a player. You've got the potential to just slot him anywhere on the offense, slot him on the special teams, and let him be a weapon. He said that he really wanted to come to Arizona State. He wants to be one of the faces of the program. He wants to be one of the guys that when you look back, they can say, yeah, Raleek Brown helped turn the program around. He's dedicated. He wants to be here. That is so important when you're trying to land these transfers for a rebuilding program and a program that is trying to find its new identity, is having those guys that come in and they say, yeah, well, maybe I don't win a national championship here, but I get to be that legend. Remember, that was something that Kenny Dillingham brought up when he first came here, particularly with the in-state guys, but in general, he told the press and he told these kids, you want to be able to leave Arizona State as a legend at this program. You want to leave that lasting impact so that people know who you are, people respect who you are, people love who you are. Guys like N'Keal Harry, guys like Mike Bercovici and Taylor Kelly, just in recent years. Like, we look back and those are some of our favorite Sun Devil players. And they put all their effort into the program to help make it a good competitive program. Raleek Brown wants to be like them. He wants to be able to say, in 5, 10, however many years, people look back and are like, man, I miss Raleek Brown. Remember how good Raleek Brown was at Arizona State? Remember how important he was to turning this program around? That's what Raleek wants. That's what we want. That's what the coaching staff wants. got to have those guys that want to be here. It was a massive addition, massive to the point where like the national media was taking a look at it and they were like, wow, that's a big get for Arizona State. This is a former 5-star kid that's going to a team that won 3 games last year and the year before, a team that's totally going through the motions right now with a second-year head coach, and they land this kid. Was huge. But he wasn't the only big name. The other huge kid was Kamari Wilson, a safety out of Florida. He was, I believe, a 5-star, depending on where you look, but a consensus really high 4-star. This is another kid who's going to be able to come in and provide an immediate impact in the secondary. Funny enough, I actually talked about Brown and Wilson this past Saturday. I did a very quick episode giving my initial like raw reaction. So if you didn't check that out, I encourage you to do it. It's very much a raw, like, oh my God, this just happened kind of thing. This is more putting on my analyst cap here. Back into talking about Wilson, though. He's going to be coming into a secondary that is got no shortage of safety talent. You'll have Wilson, you'll have Shamari Simmons, you'll have Savion Alford, who's back after having to sit out this past year for transfer eligibility. Montana Warren will be back. Josiah Cox will be there. It's no shortage of talent, but Wilson's going to come in and have a serious opportunity to be a starter for the team. At worst, I mean, he's going to see significant playing time. The Sun Devils did a really good job getting guys onto the football field last year. There was a lot of rotation. There was a lot of snap distribution amongst the young guys, amongst the veterans, and all that good stuff. Kamari's going to come in and have that opportunity to be a full-time player for the team. Whether or not that results in starts, who knows? Who cares? Like, sure, you can start 12 games, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you were the highest impact player. Kamari Wilson's somebody that I do believe can be a high impact player for the team. Another amazing addition for the Sun Devils. They've made some really good moves in the transfer portal so far this offseason, but Raleek Brown and Kamari Wilson are absolutely the pinnacle of what they've been trying to do. They also made 4 other additions through the transfer portal. You've got, and bear with me, I looked up the pronunciations for 2 of these kids and their last names. Still learning it though. So you've got linebacker from San Diego State, Zyrus Fiuseu. I believe it's Fiafiseu. Working on it, like I said. You got Issy Matutia, working on it. He's an interior lineman from New Mexico. You've got Joey Sua, who is another interior lineman. And then you've got Tyler Wigglesworth, who is coming from NAU. He's your new long snapper. That rounds out the 6 transfers that you had over the weekend. 2 guys on the interior line that are going to be really good between Sua and Matutia. You're very much looking forward to those big bodies being there. There's some other guys that I know they're looking at, but we'll talk about them a little later in the podcast. Love that they're getting more bodies in the linebacker room. You're going to have to try and replace Savion Brown. Massive step or shoes to step into. I'm really looking forward to another year of Tate Romney. I'm curious what happens with Crew Jackson. They've got guys there, Caleb McCullough, but Zyrus Fiuseu is going to be another really good addition to this team. I think that you've got some very important transfers here because of these guys that you're bringing in. You're not necessarily bringing in redshirt freshmen here. You're bringing in guys who played 2-3 years and not just played, but had some pretty significant playing time. Those interior linemen, in general, both had 10 to 20 starts, something like that. They have playing time, and that's going to be really important for this team as they continue to rebuild and move towards the future of this program. Tyler Wigglesworth, he's immediately going to be your starting long snapper. It's another place that we had to fill with Slater Zellers moving out from the program. Bottom line is, as of right now, I'm really happy with the way the transfer portal has gone. This was a massive weekend for the team. But of course, there's some other commitments that are going to be coming up here with sort of National Signing Day coming up. It's like an early period for it with 3 guys, to my knowledge, who are going to be signing their letters of intent, plus some other guys that we're going to be keeping an eye out on. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Of course, this is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Passion, drive, and patience. It's what brings home the winning trophy. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only fit for U.S. customers. Thanks as always for tuning in to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And remember, wherever you're getting your podcast, to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. A special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Let's go ahead and get right back into our conversation now. We have 3 kids that are going to be signing their letters of intent on, what is that, Thursday, the 21st? Yeah, Thursday, the 21st. 3 guys are going to be signing their letters of intent. You have Jayden Fortier, the tight end, guy that I have been singing praises about all offseason long. If you've been paying attention to the podcast, you know how high I am on Jayden Fortier, and that he was absolutely the one guy that I wanted to make sure that you got committed no matter what. He was like my top priority, especially when Jalen Conyers transferred, especially with Messiah Swinson out of eligibility. Fortier was my guy. He is going to be signing his letter of intent. This is huge. 4-star tight end immediately has a chance to start for the team. At worst, I think this is your tight end too, because I do really like Bryce Pierre. And I think Pierre is going to be in for a really solid season. But Fortier, this kid's a stud, man. And he played both sides of the football, but he's a true tight end, and he's going to be one of your best players. At least down the road, right? He may not come in and be a 50-catch guy. I would be shocked if he wasn't an impact guy in his first year, though. So this is a really big deal for me, and hopefully a big deal for you guys as well. Jayden Fortier is a beast. This is the prototype of the kind of player that I want at Arizona State, the kind of player that I want guiding us into the future for the Kenny Dillingham era. He's the pinnacle of athlete, the pinnacle of upside, but also has the loyalty. I mean, he's been taking visits for quite some time. He was very recently visiting Oregon, and with him being a native kid at Tualatin, Oregon. I don't know the name of the city or town, but you could easily be the hometown kid and go to Oregon. But, he's still dedicated to Arizona State, and he still wants to be one of the faces of the program. He reminds me a lot about what Raleek Brown has been saying, and that he wants to be one of the faces of the future for this team. That's the kind of guys that I want. Those are the kind of guys I want to build this team around. Fortier is a beast. Fortier brings so much to the table for you. And he's dedicated. He's been recruiting this program. He was part of the crew that was able to get Raleek Brown here. He's been doing everything he can and doing his part in the process of recruiting these kids. He's all in on this program. Could not be more excited about Arizona State bringing in a kid than Jayden Fortier. And now that we are basically officially all but pen to paper kind of thing, it's really exciting. You're also going to have Zachariah Sample, the athlete out of Texas, is going to be committing to the program. He's going to be signing his letter of intent. Both of these kids announced it on social media that they will be doing so. With Sample listed as an athlete, I think this is a guy you're going to see in a similar-ish role to Raleek Brown. I think he's going to see a lot of time at receiver. Impact kid. And another one who's going to be the example of recruiting outside of the state. This is a Texas kid, and he's been tweeting off season hashtag Texas to Tempe. That's a movement that we have started to see get the ball rolling with wide receiver coach Rashad Samples and defensive backs coach Brian Carrington, both being from Texas, both being one of the most important recruiters on this team, and both guys that got extensions during this offseason. They have started that hashtag Texas to Tempe trend, and they've been going after guys. You know, it's the Tony Lewis and Kubas of the world. It's getting Chris Johnson, who we'll talk about in a second. It's getting Zachariah Sample. It's going for Elijah Besa. Like, they are doing their part in bringing in these Texas kids because it's very important to recruit the state of Texas. There's no shortage of good football players that come out of that state. It's always a great idea, and it's always a benefactor for your program to be able to recruit out of the state of Texas. Hopefully that continues to be the case. Love, love, love it. Last guy here, Chris Johnson. I just spoke of him. Corner from Texas is more than likely going to be signing his letter of intent. That's from my understanding. I couldn't find anything on his social media unless I totally just missed it, but it seems pretty much implied, that's the word, that he's going to be signing his letter of intent for the team. He's one of the higher prospects that we have right now. Corner out of Texas. Fun fact, at Aledo High School in Aledo, Texas, they just won the state championship. So congratulations to you, Chris, if you're listening to this. Really excited for you guys. Excited to get you to the program. Hopefully you'll take that team success and bring it to Arizona State. Have to be really happy with these guys that are going to be signing their letters of intent. And I know it's not just those three. I'm sure there's guys that I missed, and I know that there's going to be plenty of other guys that haven't announced it yet that will be. And at worst, they'll be taking a look at signing. I think the other national signing day is in like February or something like that. I would expect majority of these kids to sign. Sure, some guys could be flipped. Arizona State's going to be looking to flip guys too. So it's just the nature of the beast. But bottom line, you've got three really important players. In fact, you've got two of your top three players that you've recruited this offseason with Chris Johnson Jr. and Jayden Fortier are going to be signing. Zachariah Sample is no slouch himself. This is a really, really good start to National Signing Day. We're still 3 days away. It'll be on Thursday, but between those three sounding pretty much guaranteed to be signing their letters of intent, and I'm sure some other guys as well, this is a big deal for Sun Devils football. It's really, really exciting to see these guys are committed and all in. There is some more stuff that is going on with the program that I think is very noteworthy to keep an eye on. We'll talk about that in just one moment. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. One more time, thank you as always for tuning in. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and especially my everydayers who are here every day. Real quick, I want to tell you guys about our friends, or not our friends, our own Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. They cover the top stories of the day with our local experts and our Locked On Plus national shows covering every league: football, baseball, basketball, hockey. All of that is covered on the 24/7 streaming channel. It's the first of its kind, so hit subscribe to the Locked On Sports Today YouTube channel. It's awesome. Nothing like it before. Couple of rumors. This is first one, not really a rumor, and by not really, I mean it's official. Just want to update you guys that our former star pass rusher BJ Green is officially gone. he announced that he is transferring to Washington. That's a huge get for them. That is one of the programs that I actually am really excited for him to go to. They've done a really good job developing their defensive players in general at all three levels of the field. They're going to be getting BJ Green. We know how good he is. He's going to be somebody that is going to make it to the pros one day. Hopefully, Kalen DeBoer and his staff can help get him to the next level. Not that he wasn't ever going to get there at Arizona State, but he's going to a program that is much more competitive than Arizona State is, a team that will have aspirations on winning a national championship. I'm really happy for BJ. Friend of the podcast, BJ, you're always welcome back on the podcast. One of the nicest, most down-to-earth guys I've ever talked to. Very easy to root for. So sure, he's gone from Arizona State, but he's still someone that I encourage you guys to continue to root for, as long as he doesn't go to U of A, which he's not. So I'm really happy for BJ. It does stink that you're losing him, but again, it's just part of the nature of college football these days. He's got some opportunities in front of him to compete for national championships, to be on 10-win football teams. There's going to be NIL opportunities. It's great news for him. Really happy for you, BJ. Good luck to you at UW. Here is a couple of rumors for you guys. One that's got more, not juice to it, but one that makes more sense than the other. I guess they both make sense. I'll explain. Savion Byrd, who is another offensive lineman transfer, he took a visit to Arizona State this past weekend. I know that the program is really, really, really interested in bringing Savion Byrd to this team. He's got some experience at tackle. He's got plenty of experience in the interior of the line. Of course, this was the one player that I did not have pulled up. He is from Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma? I'm looking at that correctly. Yes. From Oklahoma, big kid, 6'5", 295 when he was coming out of high school. He's up to 296 now, according to 24/7 Sports. But he's got tackle experience. He's got interior experience. He's the number 84 transfer prospect. He's a 4-star transfer prospect, the number 5 tackle in this transfer portal right now. Would be a massive get. But I know that there's also interest in going back to the state of Texas. I know that SMU has been really, really on his trail. I don't know who it's going to come down to, but I do know that Arizona State is making Savion Byrd one of their highest priorities right now. I'm hoping that they're able to pull him in, especially with that tackle experience. I mean, you'd be looking at a completely remade offensive line. You got the guards that you pulled in over the weekend. You've got potentially Savion Byrd coming in. They are going into this offseason with every intention of beefing up the offensive line that was decimated by injuries last year. This is it to me. If you add Byrd, you are looking at a total turnaround in play level from the offensive line. I think that you might be seeing a unit that is night and day different from what we saw last year. And man, that I can't think of much that would be better than having a unit that is able to play at a high level. Because I think they did fine for the circumstances that they had. I mean, you were going to your freshmen that you were hoping to develop. You were going to guys that you didn't think you were going to see at all. It was not the situation that Arizona State wanted to be in, but it was the one that they found themselves in. Having 2 guys already, being able to add Savion Byrd would be massive. By the way, we already have the number 4 transfer portal class in the entire nation right now. Adding Savion Byrd would probably bump you up, because at that point you'd be getting 2 4-stars between Kamari Wilson and between Raleek Brown. Adding Savion Byrd would be huge, man. I really hope they're able to pull him in. I don't know if he's going to end up being here. I don't know the percentages of where he's going to be going 24/7 doesn't have a crystal ball projection for him at this time. So Arizona State is still in the mix. I know SMU is going to be really competitive in trying to get him as well. Bottom line, they're still in the race for him. It'd be a huge addition. Last thing I want to mention to you guys, we're going to continue to talk about it, is the quarterback position. And I don't really know if the Sun Devils are going to add anyone at this point. It doesn't seem like they're really intending to go after any big names. I know I've brought up Ty Thompson. I've brought up Dante Moore. First of all, I would be stunned if Dante Moore went anywhere but Michigan. I feel like that's almost a lock at this point. It's for him to end up with the Wolverines. It makes sense going to a national title contender, getting coached under Jim Harbaugh, because we all know that that is one of the biggest aspects that he cares about, is being developed to get to the next level. That's provided Harbaugh's still there, but I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't. Maybe I'm crazy, but it just makes too much sense. Ty Thompson, yeah, it makes sense for him to be the hometown kid, come home, be a legacy player and all that, but he still isn't guaranteed a starting spot. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I don't really know if Arizona State is still super realistic on bringing a quarterback in, because Rashad is back. By the way, Rashad has been recruiting the program as well. So for any naysayers that were doubting him, and for people that were looking for him to put it to rest, I think it's put to rest. I am pretty sure Jaden Rashad is all in on this program. His dad, Harlan, is also all in on this program. They are going to be very important pieces for the Sun Devils in recruiting, in turning the program around, in wins and production, all that good stuff. And it leads me to think that we're probably not going to be seeing Ty Thompson be a top priority, or Dante Moore being a top priority. Could they go after him? Of course they could. But I don't know that that's going to be the case. I think that if you do bring a guy in, it's going to be a lower level kid. And keep in mind, they also brought in the kid from Michigan State already. Sam Leavitt. They've already brought a quarterback in. So it just makes me think that we're probably done at the position. I know that Sam Leavitt is not the sexy player that Dante Moore is, that Ty Thompson is, but he's still a good player. He's a former 4-star prospect. Could do a lot worse. So that's kind of where I'm at with the quarterback position. That's everything that I know. As far as rumors go, I don't know too much, but that's my understanding of what I do know and what I'm able to share. Catching you up on the recruiting that went over the weekend. Some guys that are signing on National Signing Day. It's a very, very busy time for Sun Devils football. So if you're looking to stay in touch with everything, hit like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. Of course, Locked On Sun Devils is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. A special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. I appreciate you guys as always. I will be looking forward to talking to you guys again tomorrow. Until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun.